Welcome back to Midlife by Design. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am your host, Lori Lisai, human design teacher and mentor for midlife women, helping you shed the shoulds and remember who you came here to be. Today's episode, we are diving into decisions, and how not to beat yourself up about it if you are not yet using your human design authority, but how to actually start doing that so that you can live the life that you came here to live. So without further ado, let's dive in. Teachers make around 1,500 decisions a day. Mothers, the research isn't quite as neat as it is with teachers, but some researchers say that it's around 1,000 to 2,000 decisions a day. So, if you think about all of the different decisions that you're making as a mother, whether it's like how to respond to a meltdown or whether or not to book the orthodontist appointment or when to book it, or letting your teen skip practice or getting them to camp, whatever it is, you are making so many decisions every single day. And those decisions don't just affect you, they affect your family, your loved ones, as well as yourself, of course. And so today I wanted to talk about decisions, decision fatigue, and the fact that life is all about choices, right? If you've been listening to the Midlife by Design pod for a hot minute, then you know that this comes down to your human design authority, whether it's emotional, sacral, splenic, ego, self-projected, sounding board, or lunar. One of those things is going to come into play for you when it comes to decision making. And if you want a deeper dive into each of the authorities, then I invite you to go back to episode 2 because I do a deeper dive on all of them there. But for today's episode, a lot of you who have been listening to this pod and you know what your authority is, but you're not necessarily using it by default yet. I want to capitalize, highlight, exclamation point on the word yet, because it takes practice. And I'm not meaning to beat you up for not following your authority, because I get it. It's hard. It's challenging in the world in which we live. However, it doesn't have to be. And the more that we practice with it, the more we learn to trust it. And then the more it makes a difference for not only us, but the people that we love and the people who are affected by our decisions. So I want to just normalize for us why we get stuck in defaulting to logic or defaulting to using our minds to make decisions. And obviously, it is very entrenched in society that we build our decisions on logic if we are smart and if we are practical, and all of those words that people use to describe, try to describe things that we laud, things that we are, proud of, things that we expect of other people. And in reality, making decisions based on what our mind has to say is the opposite of what we should be doing. So I want to just circle back to this idea that your decision lives in your body. And it's not just about the fact that it lives there, it's about trusting it. It's about building a deep trust with your authority, which, as I said, takes practice. And it takes unraveling the good girl conditioning. It takes being brave and being willing to say no when your body tells you no, even though you may be disappointing somebody, for example. Logic for us and making decisions with our minds feels safer than embodying and listening to our bodies and making those decisions. It just does, because that's how we have grown up. But I am encouraging you, I am encouraging me, I am encouraging all of us to lean more into that embodiment practice and learning to really trust our bodies to help us make those decisions. Because even though our culture is still rewarding these rational decisions, in the end, what is going to help us feel more authentic, feel more aligned, is when we make embodied decisions. And listen, there are real consequences for not following our inner authority. Besides, decision fatigue, or besides feeling burnout, or besides feeling resentment or resenting the people around us, the most important consequence, I think, is feeling detached from who we are and our truth, like capital T truth. Whether it's something like, hey, do you want to go out to a wine tasting tonight? Or whether it's something like, do you want to go see some live music and you've never heard of the band? Or whether it's something like, do you want to go for a bike ride and you haven't ridden your bike in years? Whatever it is, you need to learn to listen to your inner authority and trust it. Even if it feels weird to give the answer in the moment, even if it feels like you're not quite sure if that's the right thing to say in the moment, even if it causes doubt in your mind, if your body is telling you the answer, then that is what I'm encouraging you to follow. So, how do we actually start to do that? How do we get into the practice of using our authority? And what I want to remind you is that you already know how to do this. It's built inside of you, and it's really more about remembering than it is about learning it. Because when you were little, this is probably how you made decisions, just intuitively. So, a quick reminder for each of the different authorities. Number one, if you are an emotional authority, remember that this means your solar plexus, which is the center toward the bottom of the body graph, which is a triangle that kind of faces into the body graph on the right-hand side. That's your solar plexus. If it is colored in, then you are emotionally defined, and this means that you have an emotional authority. So if you don't know what your authority is, go to my website, lorileeside.com, and download your chart there. It's free, and you'll get some free resources there too to help you understand it. So if you are an emotional authority, this is about taking time. It's about not forcing yourself to make a decision in the moment. And even if you don't have enough time to sleep on it, you can say, this sounds great. Let me get back to you in an hour or so. However much time you can give yourself is such a gift as an emotional authority. If you're a sacral authority, it's about trusting your gut and what your gut says before your mind comes in to override it. And at my in-person workshop this week, one of the participants asked me, isn't my gut feeling my intuition? And mechanically speaking, they're different in that the emotional solar plexus is different than the spleen. And when I think of intuition, I think of the spleen. I think of the different ways the clairs speak to us, like clairaudient or clairvoyant. But I will say that Jenna Zoe, when she teaches human design, she talks about authority as being your intuition. So it sometimes gets conflated, or that wording gets layered. And so it is the way that your body knows what to do. Okay, a reminder for if you're splenic, then that is thinking about what just happened in your body before your logic started to override it. what happened in your body? So many splenic authorities will just ignore it. They'll hear it. They'll be like, oh yeah, I totally know what happened or what I heard. And then I was just like, oh no, I'm going to do this instead. So pay attention to that first hit. Okay. If your ego, what are you undervaluing that you know that you want? Because usually, especially as a woman in our society, you feel selfish for it. So ask yourself that question. If you're self-projected, when is the last time that you talked it out with somebody, with like a trusted person where you felt safe and you could really listen to what you were saying to them? If you are a mental projector, when is the last time that you talked it out with trusted people and started relentlessly pruning people and places that do not align with you? You know, being in the right environment, so important for mental projectors, as it is for reflectors. So if you're a reflector and you have a lunar authority, what kind of patterns are you noticing, and have you been ignoring them? Or what are you noticing that maybe doesn't feel good about your environment that you haven't acted on yet? So we are currently practicing with authority in the Midlife Magic membership. And so I want to put a plug in here to invite you to that, because this is where the rubber hits the road with human design. It's where we practice what we're learning so that it doesn't just go into the mind and sit there as fun facts or trivia that we can talk about and tell other people about, but it's part of our lived experience and helps us to come back to our center in midlife, helps us come back to our truth when this time of life just feels like everything is shifting and there are so many questions and we don't really know what end is up. So what does aligned decision making actually feel like? It feels calm. It feels low stress. It feels embodied. It feels settled. It feels correct. It feels right in this really deep way. And here's the trick. It's like letting your body feel that decision and feel its correctness for you, and noticing it and being able to honor it without letting your mind take over with all of the questions and what ifs and who am I going to disappoint and how am I going to piss this person off, etc., etc. It's like that is the key, right? It's when you make a decision, pushing all of that stuff aside. Just recently, I had an invitation from a fellow human design nerd to collaborate on something, and we had such a great connection on the call that we had, and I loved meeting with her so much. She had a very fun energy, but also grounded and curious, and I want to say embodied. And so anyway, we had a great connection. And in a follow-up email, she asked if I would be interested in staying connected and like working together maybe over Voxer or having a meeting every now and then. And I did not get the sacral yes, and I knew I needed to ride out the emotions. And in reflecting on it, I was like, I feel like the timing just isn't right now. Like when I think about doing this, I love the idea. And plus also, it makes me feel overwhelmed right now because there's a lot going on for me in the summer. Both boys are home and being mom and CEO of the household here. And so I was just feeling like it would be a push to add another thing on top of doing that and running this business. So I didn't want to disappoint her though. And I didn't want her to feel like I didn't want to do this, because I feel like, yes, this could be a really great collab in the future. So I chose to honor myself. And when I replied, I said, hey, I would be interested in this, but what do you think about kicking it till September? So this is just an example of a way that you can feel into things. And your mind may be telling you like, oh, this is a really good idea. This would work really well for you. And your body may just not be there at the moment. So trusting yourself enough to say, okay, my body's not quite there, so I'm just going to kick it down the road a little bit. And for an emotional authority, which I am, that's a great call. And if you're a sacral authority or a splenic authority and you know right in the moment if it's for you or not, then in that case, you might just say no thanks. And plus also, I would say that no doesn't necessarily mean no forever. You can always run a decision by your sacral or your spleen again in the future, and it may be a better fit for you. Practicing this is like building muscle, especially in midlife, right? We got to eat all the protein. We have to lift the heavy shit in order to build the muscle. It's the same thing with your human design authority. You have to practice with the decisions, big and small, and start building that trust in yourself to know that your body is not going to steer you wrong. So when this episode drops, we are going to be under the influence of Gate 31. And Gate 31 is about leadership and authentic expression in your leadership. It's this gate that allows for like beautiful influence when you're in alignment, and the ability to lead in a way that is inspiring for others because it's with authenticity. So I think that as women, we know that leadership isn't loud and crass. It's not hierarchical. It's not bossy. It's not as structured as our world would have us think. Instead, I think that leadership, especially feminine leadership, could be something more like embodied resonance or frequency. It's that frequency that we emit that draws people to us. And when we are on our frequency, it's a special kind of leadership because it's, I think, the feminine way to lead through authenticity. And we are being ourselves, letting our freak flags fly, unapologetically, doing things like what we talk about on this podcast, aging, making decisions about our bodies as they age and being unapologetic about it, being goofy, being cranky, whatever it is, letting yourself experience your moods and not judging yourself for it. All of those things are being your authentic self. And tying it back to authority, when you're using your body to make your decisions, well, there you go. You're radiating authenticity because you are living your truth. You're being your true self. So this, I think, when we are able to do these things, there's a ripple effect, right? I mentioned earlier about how the decisions that women make affect all of those around us, our loved ones, our family, our friends. And when we are making decisions from a place of alignment, from a place of our truth, then that affects them in a positive way because we are giving them permission to do the same. And we're modeling for them how to do that. And we are thereby influencing them, which is what we're talking about right now with the Gate 31. I want to invite you to notice, where are you defaulting to logic over your authority? Just notice it. Remember, it's not a time to beat yourself up about it. It is simply an invitation to notice, when are you doing it? And then maybe get curious, like, why am I doing that? Why did I do that? And I like to encourage my clients and membership members to think about when you decide to override your authority with logic, just acknowledge out loud or in your mind your authority and say, hey, I hear you. I'm choosing to make this decision opposite of what you're telling me for this moment because. And your authority, it is what it is. It's not going to judge you, but by naming it, you are building that relationship with it still. So I would love for you to think about a small decision that you can make this week from your inner knowing. Maybe go with food, or go with what you're going to wear, some clothes, or go for a walk and let your body lead. Those are 3 small decision points that you could experiment with. And then let me know how the experiment goes. I would love to hear from you. DM me on Threads, on Instagram, or if you're watching this on YouTube, feel free to comment. And so as we wrap up here, if you are so done with putting your power somewhere else, like in your mind, and if you are finding yourself in people-pleasing mode still, or if you're stuck in being a perfectionist, or if you're just like getting caught in the logic loop, then the membership, the Midlife Magic membership, is for you. This is where you stop stumbling through menopause and perimenopause and midlife, and you start living like the woman that you are becoming. Okay, so we practice what it means to lead from the inside out using your human design. And we use it as a map, and your authority is your inner compass along with your G center. And we do it in community. And this is perhaps the most important part of this. That's why it's a membership. It is a group of women doing the same thing that you are, where we can witness one another and support one another. And so if you're hearing me talk about the membership and you're like getting a yes from your body, then I invite you to trust it. Just give it a try. It's a month-to-month thing, so you can cancel anytime if it's not a good fit for you. So if you want to learn about it, go to my website, lorileeside.com/midlife-magic-membership. And I'm going to drop the link in the show notes and join us. It's $33 a month for the rest of the summer. And actually, if you join as a founding member, you're going to keep that price all the way through December. And I have a bunch of additions to the membership that are coming up once we get into fall. So those will be yours for the lesser price than when the price goes up this fall. So my midlife women listening to this podcast, this is a reminder for you that you are not here to play small. You are here to lead in your authenticity, and remembering that your leadership and your decisions affect those around you, and in being your beautiful self, you are showing others that they can do the same. You are not too old. You are not too young. You are fucking perfect. And if you're listening to this podcast, you are absolutely a perfect fit for the membership as well. So come learn to live by design with us. Okay, that's it for today. Have a fantastic week, loves. Talk soon. Until next time. I hope today's episode of Midlife by Design helped you remember that your soul came here to be present in this body and experience decisions through its leadership. Remember how amazingly special you are to be living in this moment, in this time, and trust your body to guide you in this journey. I am coming to you as your spiritual spark plug, your portal priestess, holding space for you as you find the strength to let go of what no longer serves you, joy to fill your days, and the clarity to be who you came here to be.